Despite the epic failure of allowing 2 boatloads of asylum seekers to turn up on our coastline, the Albanese Labor government is desperately trying to tell us that nothing has changed when it comes to border security under Labor. And when it comes to Operation Sovereign Borders, they've certainly got the Swish video promotions under control. Have a look at this. Every boat? Yeah, every boat except the 2 that people smugglers took all the way to our shores so they could drop off paying customers and then depart without being detected. Maybe Operation Sovereign Borders should change that video to Australia watches almost every boat. Obviously, we need to know more about the border protection failures that have seen asylum seekers reach the mainland coast in remote northwestern Western Australia for the first time in over a decade. In fact, since back when Labor was last in power. We need to confirm whether this was a drop-and-go mission, what sort of vessels were used, whether they operated out of Indonesia or elsewhere. We need to know about the backgrounds of the asylum seekers, how much money they paid, and whether they have more family and friends waiting at a people-smuggling dock to try to join them in the future. Most importantly, we need to know how Operation Sovereign Borders missed them. We know that surveillance flights are down more than 20% year on year, and patrols on the water are down too. And while the government tries to deflect criticism of funding cuts, there are revelations that they're planning to boost spending and resources in the upcoming budget. So they're trying to deny a resourcing problem while they're trying to fix it. This is a national dilemma. We don't want our immigration system undermined or our borders exposed to quarantine and security threats. Not to mention the humanitarian risk, the possible resurgence of chaos and fatalities that we've seen in the past. Yet for far too many in politics and in the media, it's all about politicking.
A battle over borders.
Well, the reason the boat got there is because the government has suspended or cancelled surveillance flights.
By definition, Peter Dutton's arguments are absurd.
Reignited by the arrival of 39 men on the shores of remote Western Australia on Friday.
Welcome back to the show. The arrival of 40 asylum seekers on the coast of WA has sparked a political firestorm.
Members of both parties taking aim at each other over the handling of our borders.
The arrival of dozens of asylum seekers along Western Australia's Kimberley coast has reignited a political debate over border protection. Here's Lucy Gray.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is under sustained criticism from the federal opposition and some crossbench MPs after around 40 asylum seekers arrived on our shores via boat late last week.
Look, this is where the media lets the public down. The political jousting is easy to cover, but what matters is actually the real issue. Without secure borders, no nation is truly sovereign. We need to know whether we're about to see a new people smuggling surge and whether the government and its authorities are doing enough to maintain border security. The politics is secondary. And so many in the media are playing the same green left games that we've seen over the past 2 decades, playing down the issue, pretending that it's all confected.
Do you think asylum seekers arriving by boat are a threat to national security?
No, that's been utter rubbish for years. I mean, invoking national security in terms of boats has been rubbish forever.
How ridiculous to argue that border security has no connection to national security. As usual, the ABC is the home ground for the open borders advocates. Have a look at this unchallenged claim from a pre-organised viewer question on Q&A.
The Albanese government's Operation Sovereign Borders policy is unchanged from the coalition's, but Peter Dutton is seeking to stir up unrest in Australians by his dog whistle line of Albanese being weak on borders.
It's hard to believe after all this country has been through over the years that the left still run this line, that caring about secure borders is some kind of racist dog whistling. But Labor lapped it up.
We are seeing here politics play into an issue that certainly both sides have said previously that the protection of Australia is one that should be above politics. And what we are seeing now is exactly that politics is playing into it.
Really? Labor's never played politics over border protection? They opposed any and all attempts to secure our borders for the best part of 2 decades. They've only recently accepted the need to keep borders secure, yet when they fail to do that, they think no one should mention it? This is denial, pure and simple. And you only have to listen to author Geraldine Brooks on that ABC Q&A program and the reception she got to understand that the left hasn't learned a thing.
39 poor souls, you know, and at least this time we got to see them, instead of having them taken out of public view where we can dehumanize them and demonize them. You know, we saw who they were, just people looking for a better life who've been exploited by boat traffickers and people smugglers. And so where's the humanity?
I just want to bring you in, Julian.
And I'll tell you what's worse. Have a listen to what still passes, apparently, for public debate from the Green left.
I just think Peter Dutton, his immediate reaction to anything is a snarl. He's like the Tasmanian devil of Australian politics. I mean,
just depressingly pathetic, isn't it? Another guest from the UK tried to offer perspective.
Maybe it is, but it's a loss of control that the British government would be delighted by because, you know, frankly, 39 people, that would be a good day in the English Channel. You know, we have hundreds of people crossing a week, many thousands a year. It's a just much smaller stretch of water, so it's much easier to get to the UK.
Yes, indeed. That's exactly why the UK has sought advice from former members of the Howard and Abbott governments to learn about border protection. When Labor lost control back in 2008, 2009, the arrivals started out with just the odd boat every now and then, and it built gradually until we were getting hundreds of asylum seekers on some days, thousands in some weeks, more than 50,000 people on more than 800 boats over 6 years. The idea is to nip this in the bud. Forget the politics. What the country needs the government to do is stop this now before it gets out of hand.